Welcome to the origin story of a legend. In 1945, as the smoke of World War II cleared, Willys Overland faced a pivotal challenge: how to transition a battle-hardened war machine into a civilian staple. The result was the 1945 Willys CJ-2A, the first mass-produced civilian Jeep. This vehicle didn't just provide transportation, it pioneered the entire sport utility vehicle category. It took the rugged soul of the MB military Jeep and added features for the everyday worker, forever changing the automotive landscape. Today, we examine the birth of the civilian Jeep and how this 1945 pioneer paved the way for the multi-billion-dollar SUV market we see today. The transition from the military MB to the civilian CJ-2A was calculated. Willys Overland knew that the American farmer was their primary target. On July 17, 1945, production officially began in Toledo, Ohio. The mission was simple: create a workhorse on wheels that could replace a tractor, a truck, and a passenger car all at once. By modifying the gear ratios and adding a tailgate, Willys created a versatile tool that resonated with a nation returning to peace. This was the start of the CJ, or civilian Jeep line, that would run for decades, proving that utility was a universal language. At first glance, the CJ-2A looks like its military cousin, but the details tell a different story. The most significant change was the grille. While the military MB featured a 9-slot grille with recessed headlights, the CJ-2A introduced the now iconic 7-slot grille with larger 7-inch flush-mounted headlights. This wasn't just aesthetic, it was a branding shift. Other key changes included an external fuel cap on the driver's side, no more lifting the seat to refuel, and a side-mounted spare tire. These 1945 modifications defined the Jeep look that persists on modern Wranglers today. Under the hood sat the legendary 134.2 cubic inch Go Devil L-head 4-cylinder engine. This engine was the backbone of the war effort and remained relatively unchanged for the civilian market. It produced 60 horsepower and 105 pound-feet of torque. While those numbers seem small today, in 1945, the Go Devil was a marvel of reliability and torque. It allowed the CJ-2A to crawl through mud, pull plows, and navigate steep inclines. The 134.2 cubic inch displacement was perfectly matched to the T90 3-speed manual transmission, which replaced the lighter T84 used during the war. What truly set the CJ-2A apart as an industrial pioneer was the power takeoff, or PTO system. Willys Overland marketed the Jeep as a mobile power plant. Through a series of shafts and pulleys, owners could run farm equipment like buzzsaws, post-hole diggers, and sprayers directly from the Jeep's engine. This power takeoff capability meant a farmer didn't just buy a truck, they bought a versatile power source. It was this ingenuity that helped Willys secure a 45% market share in the post-war light utility vehicle segment during the late 1940s. Coming out of the drab olive green era of the war, Willys wanted the CJ-2A to stand out. They introduced a range of bright commercial colors. The most famous was pasture green with autumn yellow wheels. Other options included harvest tan with sunset red wheels and Normandy blue. These color schemes were more than just paint. They symbolized a return to normalcy and civilian prosperity. Interestingly, the first few thousand units in 1945 used leftover military parts, but as production ramped up, the vibrant civilian aesthetic became the standard for the 214,760 units eventually produced. Willys Overland's marketing was genius. They didn't just sell to individuals, they sold to industries. Print ads from 1945 showed the Jeep doing everything from firefighting to herding cattle. The CJ-2A was priced at $1,090, which was competitive for the time. Despite the price, demand was so high that Willys couldn't keep up. By the end of 1945, they had produced only 1,824 units due to material shortages, but production exploded in 1946. This scarcity created an aura of exclusivity and rugged dependability that remains part of the Jeep brand's DNA today. One of the CJ-2A's greatest strengths was its simplicity. Industrial professionals loved it because it was easy to repair in the field. With basic tools, an owner could dismantle most of the vehicle. The heavy-duty T90 transmission and Spicer 18 transfer case were nearly bulletproof. The leaf spring suspension and 80-inch wheelbase provided a bouncy but unstoppable off-road experience. This reliability meant that many 1945 models stayed in service on farms for 40 or 50 years, long after modern vehicles would have been scrapped. It set the standard for what Jeep tough really meant. Every SUV on the road today owes a debt to the 1945 CJ-2A. It proved there was a market for a small, four-wheel drive vehicle that could handle both work and play. From the CJ-2A, Willys developed the CJ-3A, the CJ-5, and eventually the Jeep Wrangler. But it didn't stop with Jeep. The Land Rover Series 1 and the Toyota Land Cruiser were both direct responses to the Jeep success. The CJ-2A was the spark that ignited the 4x4 revolution, turning a niche military tool into a global lifestyle symbol that defines modern automotive culture. For collectors, a true 1945 Willys CJ-2A is a holy grail. Because the first 1,824 units were built with specific very early civilian VEC parts, like the column shift gear lever, which was later moved to the floor, they are highly sought after. Finding one with the original data plates and matching numbers is a challenge. As we conclude our look at this pioneer, we recognize the CJ-2A not just as a car, but as a monument to American ingenuity. It took us from the front lines of war to the frontiers of industry, and it remains a timeless icon of freedom and capability.